Good morning, guys. Welcome to my replay viewers. Thank you guys so much for jumping in, checking out my broadcast. Sorry I missed you live, but so glad you guys took some time to check it out. What is up to my live crew this morning? Great to see you all this morning. So glad to have you here. I appreciate you guys coming in to hang out with us on this World Changers Wednesday. We're super excited to bring this broadcast to you today, guys. This is going to be our first of many series of World Changers Live, where I get to hang out with some of my favorite people in the world and just have a conversation that happens to be on our mind today. So our conversation for today is going to be, what was the moment when you said yes to the purpose and calling on your life? I have the honor and great pleasure of hanging out with three of my peeps, Celia Kibler, Sherry Capella, and Tasha Hart, which I'm going to bring in on screen right now. So I'm turning on mics, and give me just a second as I bring all my amazing ladies into the room with us. So here they all come. You should be all seeing their faces. Maybe I got Sherry, Celia, come on. Tasha, come on. There we go. There we all are. Here's all of our faces. Here's all of us. So this is my World Changers crew for today. We are talking about purpose and calling. Super excited to have this conversation with you because we have a lot to talk about. We're going to dive right into it. But first of all, I just want to go around the room in case any of y'all that are watching us don't know any of these amazing people, or in case of any of you don't know me. We're just going to take a minute to introduce ourselves, and then we're just going to have ourselves a quick chat. So guys, real quick, my name is Justin Kappan. JustinKappanPro.com is my website. I'm a startup business mentor and a branding strategist. And what I do is I specialize in helping startup entrepreneurs turn their passion, their gifting, your ideas into a profitable and scalable brand, leveraging the power of social media marketing. I have the honor of working with all these amazing girls, and I'm super excited to have these chat. I'm going to go right around the room. So Celia, let's go to you, buddy. Tell us real quick who you are and what you do.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Celia Kibler, founder of Pumped Up Parenting and Fun Fit Family Fitness. And I'm on a personal mission to stop a million parents from yelling at their kids. What I do is I equip parents with the tools and strategies that they need to overcome generational cycles of dysfunction and abuse and start creating childhoods that everyone can blossom from. I'm an author and a family empowerment coach and a mom and grandma.
Mom and grandma, and overall amazing human. I love it. Tasha, let's go to you. Tell us about you real quick, buddy.
All right. Well, my name is Tasha Hart. I'm known as the Puzzle Lady, and I am the founder of Puzzled to Purpose, how to go from being puzzled about your purpose to having intentional strategies to help you achieve all the goals, all the purpose in all areas of your life. I'm also mother, wife, author, speaker, and today is my son Honest's 17th birthday. So happy birthday, Honest.
Wow, congratulations and happy birthday. I love that. And again, also an overall amazing human. And last but absolutely not least, Sherry, tell us about you real quick, buddy.
Well, my name is Sherry Capella, and first and foremost, I'm a fan of everybody here. Love every single one of you. But I'm a Christian life coach for weight loss, and I specialize in helping women of a certain age to step into weight loss and out of weight loss resistance. And I do that through teaching them that they don't have a weight loss problem, they have an obedience problem.
Awesome. Super, super awesome. I love it. Joanne, good morning to you. I see you. Amazing, Kat. Great morning to you as well. So we're going to dive right into this conversation. We're on a little bit of a time crunch with Sherry this morning because she's a mom and she's got kids and she does all of that, but she still decided to hang out with us this morning. So we got to get Sherry out of here sooner than later. So I'm going to start with Sherry this morning. Again, the topic of today is, what was the moment when you said yes to the purpose and calling on your life? And I just kind of want to hear everybody's story and just perspective of this, because we all do pretty significant things. We all have, I would say we all have a pretty significant calling on our lives. I think everybody has a significant calling on their lives, just whether they choose to step into it or not is the thing. But Sherry and I've been on a journey with you for several years, and I know a lot about what you've been through, but I'm curious to know what that moment was for you when you realized, I want to stop being this corporate person that I know you've been, and what really put you into becoming who you are today. You go right ahead, buddy.
Oh my goodness, my favorite topic in the whole wide world. All right, so, yeah, like you said, I was a corporate executive doing all the things, making the money, the handbags, the cars, you name it. I was living that life. So in the world and so stuck and defeated. And one of the biggest areas of defeat for me as an older mom, I had my last baby at 39, was I couldn't lose the weight. And I didn't know it then, Justin, but I was incredibly defeated and depressed because of my weight. And it wasn't safe or comfortable for me to tell people that. Like, You know, I can't say, oh, poor me, I'm depressed because of my belly fat. No, that wasn't cool.
Yeah, that's not
But
cool, and that's
yeah,
selfish, right?
no,
Like, why
yeah,
should you be worrying about
it's
you?
yeah, it's vain, you know,
Yep,
but it was
vain,
my
right?
reality. And it put me on a spiral where I had to take medication, a cocktail of antidepressants. I was self-medicating with alcohol in the evenings. I was really just not becoming who I thought. And it put me in a state of like just deep despair. And I remember praying to God one evening and saying, God, please show me the weight loss program that I can actually lose weight with. And he said, you haven't found it because you haven't written it yet. And
Wow.
I thought, oh, that's not in the trajectory. That's not my college degree, my certifications, none
Yeah.
of that, you know, plus can I even make this salary doing whatever that is?
Well, yeah,
And,
because
you
there's all
know,
the questions, right? And
yeah,
like, I
yeah,
mean, it's not like you had, and it's not like you had gone through life learning how to create a program. I mean,
yeah,
nowadays you talk to the average human being, you're like, oh, I'm going to create a program. I'm going to create my own weight loss program. They're like, you're crazy. Like, who are you
yeah.
to create a weight loss program?
Exactly, exactly. And what I had learned at that point was I was so successful at failing every single weight loss program. So the idea of writing one, I clearly was not a subject matter expert. And
Yeah.
so it was then that I felt God telling me it's life coaching. And as I stepped into life coaching and I tried applying all the principles on myself, nothing would work. And I laid down how I was pursuing the world. I was pursuing Buddha. I was pursuing all these other faiths because
Hmm.
Jesus wasn't cool for me. It's just
Yeah.
God's honest truth. It's where I was.
Yep.
And the minute I laid that down and surrendered it, God put it on my heart to become a Christian life coach for weight loss. He promoted me to a Christian life coach for weight loss. And that's when it happened. I started trusting him. That's when I knew what the world told me about my personality type and all of these things. That's when I realized it's not about personality types. It's about obedience, because obedience is not a personality type. It's an act of love.
Hmm.
And I, at that moment, dropped my excuses and ran in the direction of obedience, seeking after God, trusting into his promises, and ended up writing a weight loss program that I never saw coming. And so that today now is my life. I mean, obviously there's God, my husband, our children, and our family, and then there's the seeker's method.
Hmm. Yep. And all
So
the
that
people
was
that
my
you get to
moment.
serve every day, single day, it's
Yeah.
pretty amazing. And then I don't know about you guys, and I think we could probably all relate to this. But like for me, I'll share my story here in a bit. But once I finally kind of got past myself and kind of got past all the questions and all the fears and all the what ifs, and I was like, all right, okay, I don't, I have more questions than I have answers, but I'm gonna go and
Mhm.
I'm gonna try this. Once I like stepped into it and started leaning into it, the Lord started revealing to me all the things that He had taken me through in the past. And I could see like, wow, I went through that to equip me for this, and I went through
Yeah.
that to equip me for this, and you had me here for a season to equip me for this. And I
Yeah.
imagine because I know Sherry of I've got a lot of clients, and Sherry is probably she is my project manager client. Like that, you are a project manager at heart. But I
Yeah.
love that about you, and I see so many things of what you do and how you do it, and even how you
Yeah.
manage your clients and manage your systems and manage all the things that are going on in your world. There's
Yep.
so much about that background in your career that's lended and
Yeah.
really equipped you for who you are today.
Yeah, and that was part of my struggle at first, thinking God was wrong. You know, that
Hmm.
I wasn't going to become a Christian life coach for weight loss because I had a business management degree and I
Yeah.
was a certified project manager. Both of those things prepared me to be where I am right now, to
Yeah.
have a business, to lay it up, to make a weight loss project plan for women, basically. And you're
Yep.
so right. Like, you don't know how God's equipping you, but he's equipping you. And to
Hmm.
just trust that.
Yep. I love that. And I
Yeah.
know you got to go, Sherry, but one of the things I would want to accomplish through this conversation, obviously, I want everybody just to kind of join in and just kind of listen to us as we talk about this. But also, I want to help anyone who may be struggling to, either identify what their purpose is or struggle to really say yes, and I'm going to really go after this. Is there anything that you could share with someone who might be struggling in that place today? What would you tell them?
My best advice, which after I hang up, I'm going to be hanging on to listen to what everybody else has to say. But my best advice would be to know what you're naturally good at and to make space in your life to listen to the guidance of that still small voice. You're
Yeah.
being prompted and told what to do. You just might not be turning the world off enough to actually allow that voice to be louder than the rest of the world's volume.
That's it right there. Yeah, that's it right there. It's that world voice. 'Cause I don't know about you guys, but I've dealt with that. And I significantly dealt with that on the front end of deciding I was going to go start a business myself. And anyway, I'll share that. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, buddy. I love you. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I'm going to take you off screen because I know you got to go. So I'll see you later. Thank you. Let's go to Tasha. Excited to hear from you, Tasha, this morning. Tell us about your moment. Tell us about when you really kind of leaned in and stepped into what the Lord has called you to do.
Well, first I want to say thank you for allowing me to be on here with you and the amazing Celia and Sherry. Oh my goodness, I love her too.
And let me pause you real quick, Tasha, because I want everybody to know that I plan these topics, and when I plan these topics, I specifically choose people that I know are can really have a conversation about this. So these aren't just people that say, "Oh yeah, I'll come and talk." These are people that I'm so proud of you, all of you. I'm so impressed with what you do, and I have such a firm belief in your impact on this world, and that's why you're here and that's why you're talking. So y'all that are watching us and hanging out with us this morning, I want you to meet these people, and I want you to lean into them and learn from them because they all have such tremendous giftings that are making such an impact on the world. So Tasha, there you go. Go ahead.
Well, similar to what Sherry said, you just have to open up and listen to what you're being prompted to do because there's things there. And then you said it too, Justin, that after you really dug in and you went all in on what you're doing with Justin Captain Pro and just helping us and helping others, you look back and God shows you where he prepped you for that, even when you didn't know that's what you were being prepped for. And I find a lot of that because when I'm talking about going from puzzle to purpose and I'm using these puzzle analogies, I find the stories are from way back when. And it is just amazing how God will show me something that I went through, something that a conversation, a situation that perfectly applies to what I talk about and what I'm teaching and what I'm helping others with. And it's just amazing. I look back at so much of that and think, wow, people are going to think, how is that even possible? And at the time Puzzle to Purpose got started, I had no idea this is where it would end up. So when you say, okay, when did you say yes? How did you know you were going all in? I think there comes a time when you have to make a decision to quit playing with your purpose, because there is a part of you that knows, similar to what Sherry said, there's something you're good at. There's something that you enjoy doing. There's something that you just have this natural ability to do, whether that is overlooked. It could be so small that it's overlooked. I didn't think I was going to be a writer, but I used to write poems and I would draw and I had no idea that that small thing would turn into this big thing. And it was when last year, when everything was happening with the pandemic and we lost a family member very young, in his 20s, and the father was in the hospital, his brother was in the hospital. He's the only one that didn't leave the hospital. I had coworkers that were losing people. And I remember shortly after that, God really pushing me, are you going to go all in on this thing or not? Because it's time to stop playing with it. Up until that point, I had done things with Puzzle to Purpose. I had taught a little bit. I did some workshops, some speaking engagements, but I wasn't all in. And so I think it comes down to making the decision. What do you want your life to look like? Do you want to live your purpose or not? Because there'll come a point where you have to trust and just go all in. And when I made that, the funny thing is when I made that commitment, I said, okay, God, I'm all in. I got it. You've given me this thing. What do you want me to do with it? Because I have no idea what to do with it. And it was around that same time, I I got reconnected with Justin Captain Pro. So talk about a immediate answer, because I didn't know. I said, I've done everything I know to do, and I'm just dabbling. I don't know how to make this thing an all-in thing. And then here's Justin.
I love that. And I just want to bring something up too, because you said something that resonates with me so much. As you said, when I first started creating Puzzled to Purpose, I didn't know I was going to be a writer. And for me, like when I think about the day I decided to start Justin Captain Pro, I had no idea that I would be a speaker, that I would be a content. I didn't know what a content creator even was. If you'd have told me I was going to write a book, let alone 2 or 3, I'd be like, you're crazy. There's no way. Like if you'd have told me I'd be going on camera every day and doing video content in front of the world, I'd be like, yeah, you've lost your mind. There's so much about where God has taken me on this journey that I had no idea. But I think for me, a part of leaning into your purpose is just being, how do I say this? I think a part of giving a yes, like a real yes to the purpose and calling on your life is really, it's really just laying down control and saying, all right, Lord, I feel like you're prompting me to go this direction, and I'm willing to see where you take me. It's really it's a vulnerability, and it's really just trusting that the Lord is going to show you that next step. And it's really active, just taking step after step. I know how long Celia's been on the journey that she's been on to do all the things that she's done, and every single piece of what she's done. I mean, Celia had no idea she'd be doing what she's doing now. And, this journey that she's on now to impact a million families, get a million families to stop yelling at their kids, is something that the Lord impressed upon her heart, I think a year ago. Is that right, Celia? Roughly? Oh, your mic's off, buddy. Hold on. Let me turn your mic on. There you go.
Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, I got you.
I just turned it
A
off.
year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, that I think it was actually a couple years ago. But, like you said, the whole journey of my life led to this. And there are so many things that you just look back on and you're like, oh, well, I needed to have that. I needed to have this. I needed to have this. Back to when I was a kid, and all I wanted to do was teach. And I used to teach my little brother math, and I used to teach in second grade, I used to teach kids art, and I always wanted to teach. And then when I was diagnosed with scoliosis in 8th grade and I wore a body brace for 5 years, my appointments were next to the terminal ward at Baltimore's Children's Hospital. And I really realized that, what do I have to complain about? These kids are missing limbs. There's a little girl whose skin was deteriorating. She would be gone in a year, and all she did was laugh. And I really realized how blessed I was to just have to wear this brace that I could take off, and people would never know anything was wrong with me. And so that even just put me on this journey of realizing that everything in life has its blessings, no matter what it is. There's always a way to see something negative in a positive light. And that's how I viewed life from that point on. And then, just wanting to always be there for kids. And as I grew, I discovered that really kids were my safe spot, which I didn't know at first. I was always the one to sit at the kids' table. And you know me, I'm all about fun. And I always figure, well, that was always more fun than sitting at the grown-ups table, because grown-ups table were like, grouchy and kids were fun and laughing. And that's where I wanted to be. But as I grew up, I realized that there was a part of me that the reason I connect so well with kids is because they're my safe spot. There's no judgment, there's no criticism. And it made me realize, when you grow up with someone that yells at you all the time, you are constantly in fear of being judged and criticized, and not any more than you do yourself, because you do judge and criticize yourself constantly. You second guess yourself. And these are all results from being yelled at as a child. And once I got into my marriage and I created a blended marriage, then I had to put things in place so that all these 5 kids work well together. because if they didn't work well together, the family would fall apart. So as you know, as life went on and the struggles we went through, and then my sister and I created FunFit back in 1987, we decided to really make the health and wellness of children a priority because it didn't lie in their hands. It was in the hands of their parents. And whatever their parents did, the children were the result of that. And as that went on, I was constantly coaching parents and you know, about struggles they were having. And I was thinking, you know what? I have a lot of ways to help parents. I have a lot of these gifts that God's given me through my life that I can turn around and help someone else with.
Yeah.
And in helping parents, I'm helping their kids. And then
I see from this too. I see with this too. I feel like, you know, so you did FunFit for 30 years, right? Just little years. I mean, FunFit's still going, obviously. You did FunFit for over 30 years, and I think FunFit, in case those guys who don't know, FunFit, Cecilia and her sister, right, founded FunFit over 30 years ago, and it's basically a fitness, health, and wellness program for kids, which they serve schools and small groups, and she expanded this. She was in multiple locations with teachers all over the place, and it was a very big, successful business in the Northeast of the United States. And but when I look at it now, I remember I've been working with Celia, I think, for a little over 3 years, roughly. And when I found Celia, FunFit was your baby, and that was what you were doing. And you were thinking about creating an academy and creating an academy that could help parents. And as we worked together, Celia started to really realize that, you know what, her passion was really coaching parents and helping parents with their children, especially toddler age children. And that was a shift for you, I think. And can you talk about, because I think for you there was an earlier purpose 30 years ago when you decided to start FunFit. But what happened in your mind where all of a sudden you realized, you know what, I think I want to start transitioning out of FunFit, let my team that I've built handle FunFit, and I want to really focus on parents. Tell me about that.
So there was, being in these classes, parents would always ask me questions after class. Like I was their free parenting course and parenting coach. And this woman asked me a question. There are two incidents that happened. One, this woman came to me. Now, she had just finished a class of 45 minutes where mostly her child's running around, and we're talking and he's running around. And she said to him, "Stop running, you might fall." And I'm like, he's been running for 45 minutes. You know, all of a sudden he's in a big empty room. Before he was with kids and obstacles and things like that.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, how can we be so lost as parents and so worried about every little thing that something like that comes out of your mouth to a child who was running for 45 minutes and having a good time, and your concern is now that he might fall?
Yeah.
And in the same situation, I had a grandparent. We play this game where you run from one wall to the other wall and you bang on the wall when you get there, which is basically because once a child is in motion, it stays in motion. So you have to switch its brain.
Yeah.
But she actually stopped the game in the middle and said, "I do not want to teach my child to bang on walls." And this other parent chimed in and goes, "If the worst thing my child ever does is bang on walls, I'm doing pretty good." And in those two incidences, I realized, you know what? Parents are lost today.
Yeah.
There's so much information coming at them that they don't even know what to do and how to do it.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew that this lifetime of experience that I've had could turn around and really help kids, because I can empower their parents, and in turn that would empower children.
I love that. Great stuff, Celia. I appreciate that. So I want to share a little bit about my background, because I have another question that I have for you ladies that I wonder if you relate to me. So in case any of you guys don't know this about me, I spent almost 17 years in corporate business. I went to school to be a landscape architect. decided that I was more cut out to be an executive, and I got into business. And I set, I mean, early on in my 20s, I set my sights on the corporate ladder. My idea of success at the time was a 6-figure salary and all the perks that went along with that. And so that's what I went after. I didn't realize until way later down the road that I was completely full of pride and honestly insecurity. I'm the youngest of 3 boys. And I felt like in my entire young life and young adult life, I felt like I was always being measured up to my older brothers. And so, when I got into my early 20s, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go out and I'm going to be more successful and make more money and do more than any of my brothers or anybody in my family had ever done. And it was prideful and it was arrogant, and that's how I went about my corporate life. Fortunately for me, God's given me a lot of giftings that lend to that environment. So I rose quickly. I'm a goal getter. I'm the type of person that will just go after whatever I go after, and I'll accomplish it no matter what. And so, I rose up the corporate ladder quickly. I was running my first $1 million business when I was 26, and I just kept going from there. And I got into my early 30s, built a family along the way, 4 young kids along the way. And when I got into my 30s, I was running a large multi-million-dollar business. I had all the things that I had pursued, all the things that I had gone after. I had the salary and the perks and all the things, but I was killing my family. And I was working 80 to 90 hours a week. When I was home, I wasn't home. I was always on call. I always had a phone either on my ear or in my pocket. And I was missing everything that was most important to my kids and to my family. I was missing ball games and birthdays, and I was completely suffocating my family. And it took me having to go through some really tough seasons with my family to realize that I don't want to be this person. And it's funny too, because when I first started having kids and I first started really building my family, I actually wanted to have kids young. I think I had my first kid when I was like 22, and I wanted to have kids young because I wanted to be the cool dad, right? I wanted my kids to be 18 and me not walking with a walker, right? I wanted to be able to throw a football with my youngest. I wanted to be able to go out and be active and be the dad that can be involved. That was my goal for initially having kids. And then here I am in my 30s, having spent my entire young adult life pursuing my corporate ambitions while my family was completely absent from my goals in my life altogether. And it took me kind of coming to this realization where like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to have to do things differently. And which led to me having what I thought would be a productive, candid conversation with my boss at the time. I sat down with my boss and basically told him, this is what's going on with my family. This is where I'm at, and I'm missing on a lot of things, and I'm going to have to restructure how I'm operating as an executive and what I'm doing and how I'm doing. I thought I would be able to have a candid, honest conversation with my boss to bring back some balance into my life. And I hoped and expected that this boss of mine would help me get back to balance. And instead, he reprimanded me for not being a leader that he thought I should be for the business, and basically questioned my integrity to the business, and anyway, challenged my decision to want to pull back from my position and go more in on my family. And long story short, we had a knockdown, drag out conversation. He basically said, "Are you telling me that you're not wanting to operate at the level that I demand of you?" And I said, "Well, if you're expecting me to operate the way I've been operating, then yeah, I'm telling you I'm going to do things differently." And he said, "Well, unfortunately, this is not going to be the job for you." And he fired me on the spot. And I remember being shocked in that conversation. And then I got up and I had to go and I had to clean out my office. And I remember walking to my office and I was thinking to myself, I just threw away everything that I've worked for my entire career. Like I've done 16 years of grinding in this industry to get to this level, and I just threw it all away for what? Because I want more time at home. Was that a bad decision? I was wrestling with all those question marks, right? What the heck did I just do? And I remember packing up my office, and I got everything in my briefcase, and I threw it over my shoulder, and it was like a backpack type briefcase. And I remember walking out the front door, and I walked out the front door of the building, And as soon as my feet hit the parking lot, I looked out at my car, and I always parked at the very farthest parking spot in the parking lot. So I had a long walk to the car. And as soon as I stepped on the parking lot, the Lord gave me this vision that I was carrying a literal backpack, but my backpack was full of bricks. And every step that I took across the parking lot, a brick fell out of the backpack. And by the time I got to the car, my backpack was empty. I took it off and dropped it next to my car, and it was gone. And the Lord just overwhelmed me with this vision. He's like, that backpack represents your pride, your selfish ambition, your idea of success, the goals that you have been chasing your entire life that had nothing to do with the purpose and calling that I have on your life. We're going to leave this right here, and now we're going to do things my way. And I remember feeling such a release of the pressure that I had built up onto myself, not only to operate in that position, but to, I don't know, it was to get to a level and to be a person that I thought everyone would admire or respect or like or whatever. And so I laid all that down. I remember getting in the car and I'm like, what am I going to do now? And the Lord said to me, you're going to start your own business. And I think at first I laughed. I remember I was sitting in the car and I'm like, what the heck am I going to do now? And because I'm like, what am I going to do now? And you know, and to add a little substance to my story, I had just been promoted to this new location. I had been at this location for 9 months. We had just bought a brand new house. We had 2 cars, 4 kids, all the expenses, all the life, all the things. And you know, we were used to living on a very substantial 6-figure salary with all the things. And now I just lost that. And my wife didn't work, you know, so it was me. And so I'm like, and the Lord's like, you're going to start your own business. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to start my own business. And he's like, no, you're going to start your own business. And I'm like, I'm going to start my own business. And I kind of had to, I don't know about you, Tasha and Celia. I don't know if you had to kind of go through this in your mind, but I don't know about, when the Lord prompted me that I was going to start my own business, I kind of had to process that for a minute. Like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to start my own business. And I was wrestling with, you know, then all the question marks come in. How am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to keep up with this? And then it's also, I had questions on this side, and I'm sharing all this because I think that there's people that are wrestling with this today. I think there's people that are going to watch this conversation, and you're really being prompted to do something, and you're being hit with 2 things. This is what I was hit with. I was hit with the questions, how, right? How the heck am I going to do it? The other thing that I was getting hit with is, that doesn't make any sense. People are going to think you're crazy. What's your family going to think? You can just go out, update your resume, and go get a real job, right? So that was Satan. It was Satan's like, no, just go the easy way. Go back to doing what you're doing. You'll go over here. So there was the easy way out over here, and all the questions over here, and the path was straight ahead. And all I had to do was go forward instead of going one of those directions, either easy way or down all the fears and questions and insecurities that would have just stalled me altogether. And so I remember sitting there and thinking, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start my own business. I'm gonna start my own business. And of course, I had spent, you know, almost 16 years running other people's businesses, but I had never run my own, never started my own before. And so for me, one of the things that I needed, and this might be a good tip for people that may be wrestling in this season with something like this, is I needed a confirmation. So the Lord gave me what I believe he gave me, and I'm like, all right, I need a confirmation. I need to know that this isn't just my wild harebrained idea. I need some sort of confirmation. So I negotiated with the Lord. I don't know if any of y'all do this. I negotiate with the Lord. I'm like, all right, Lord, if this is from you and this is something that I'm really supposed to do, I need you to confirm this through my wife. Because my wife knows what our world looks like, and I got to go home and tell her that I just lost my job. And then after that, I'm going to tell her that I got to tell her that I've decided to start my own business, and her reaction is going to tell me everything. And I'm like, so I need you to confirm this to my wife. I'm going to go home and tell Courtney, and then her reaction will tell me whether I'm on track or not. of course, then I had a 16-minute drive home, and it was the longest 16 minutes of my life. And I'm anticipating all the things that Courtney's probably going to say. And I'm expecting her to give me an out. I'm expecting her to be like, no, Justin, you're nuts. You're going to update your resume and you're going to go get another job. That's great. That's nice, but we're not going to do that. I think I was kind of secretly hoping she would give me an out. And so I get home, and I remember Courtney was in the kitchen. I don't know if she's washing dishes, whatever she's doing, but I remember she was in the kitchen. And I come up to the back door. Of course, I was home way earlier than I ever was. And so I come up to the back door, and I walk in. I got my briefcase, and she's like, "Hey, babe, you're home early." I said, "Yep." She thought I was coming home for lunch. And she's like, "What's going on?" I said, "I just lost my job." And I set down my briefcase, and she's like, I remember she put down whatever she had in her hands. She stops and looks at me. She goes, "Okay, what are we going to do?" And I go, "I feel real strongly that we should start our own business." I said, "I have more questions than I have answers. I don't know how, but I feel real strongly that we should start our own business. And if you're in, I want to do it together. And it's not going to be easy. It's not always going to be fun, but I think it's going to be the most fulfilling thing we'll ever do. But I need your support. I can't do it by myself." And she says to me, "Where do we start?" That's all she said. Where do we start? She didn't cry. Nothing. All she says was, "Where do we start?" And the funny thing is, I think before she asked that question, I didn't even know where we were going to start. But it wasn't until she said, "Where do we start?" I said, I thought for a second. I said, "Tomorrow we're going to get dressed up in the best outfits we got, and we're going to go downtown, and we're going to take headshots of ourselves, and I'm going to start building a brand online." And she goes, "Then let's do that." And of course, then we hugged each other, and then we cried because then all the questions came in, which we had to obviously talk through. But it was that moment where like we both gave it our yes right there. "Okay, Lord, I don't know what we're doing, but I believe you're gonna do this for us." And we gave it our yes in that moment to start. Now, this is something that happened with me, and I want to bring this up, and I want your feedback, ladies, on this as well. So one of the things that happened with me, I went through this moment, giving it my yes, and the next day we took pictures, and I started building our business that very next day. But what happened with me too was I was hurt by the business I worked for, by the boss that I worked with. I had a lot of respect for him. I was hurt by him. I couldn't believe that they were, of all the things that I had done for that company and for that business, that they were so quick to let me go simply because I wanted to have more balance with my family. I was hurt by that, and I was angry by that. And I fell into some of my old patterns that got me into the same problem when I was in my 20s, was pride. And I was like, "All right, I'm going to show you that you just made the worst decision of your life, and you should have never let me go. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to make more money than I've ever made before. And you're going to watch me succeed, and you're going to wish you would have never let me go." And that initially became my why for starting my business. And I'll tell you this, if you get your why wrong on the front end of starting your business, it will wreak havoc on everything that you do. And so I started my business with the motivation that I was going to make more money than I've ever made in my life, and I was going to prove this person wrong for letting me go. And I will tell you this, that first 6 months of me being in business was the hardest season of my life ever. It was the hardest season of my life ever. And I went through some stuff, man. And I must have had, I don't know, at least 2, if not 3 different times where I almost quit. And it was about my 6-month mark where I was done being beat up on. I was just being slugged, and I was to the point where I'm like, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. And the Lord took me to my knees, and I remember thinking, "Lord, I feel like you prompted me to do this, and I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do, but I don't know how to press forward." And I can't really explain how the Lord revealed this to me, but He revealed to me how much my pride and selfish ambition was consuming me again. And I had to really figure out what my fuel source was and what my why was. And that's when I realized that it was my kids. My why is my kids. And what I realized is the reason that I the reason why the Lord plucked me out of corporate is because it was suffocating my family and killing my kids. And I realized that never again did I want to allow a corporation to control my ability to be active and present in my children's lives. That was my why. So then when I came to that conclusion, I'm like, I'm doing this because I want freedom. I want freedom to never miss a ball game, to never miss a birthday, to be able to be active and present in my children's lives, to help them, watch them grow, and to be there for them and be the dad that I always wanted to be when I started. And once I came to that realization, it transformed me. It transformed who I am and how I operate, and it gave me such a fire to succeed. And I will tell you this: a lot of my clients know this, but I've been in business for 6 years. And in the 6 years that I've been in business, I've almost quit 6 times. The first 3 times were in the first 6 months. The last 3 times were over that first 2-year period. I haven't considered quitting in the last 4 years. But in that first 2 years, I almost considered quitting 6 times. And every single time I almost quit, I went back to why I started and why I'm doing this. And I'm doing this because never again do I want to allow a corporation to control my ability to be active and present in my children's lives. So I bring that up because I'm curious, Tasha and Celia, I'm curious to know if you ever went through a season where you initially leaned in and gave your purpose and calling a yes, and then you got into it and you wrestled at some point, or you struggled at some point, and did you have to ever do a reset or get clear on something, kind of like I did, to really, really lean into it? Tasha, you're giggling, so I want to hear from you on this one.
Well, I'm laughing because that has happened several times where I thought I had it figured out and I just took off running because I'm super impatient. I'm like, okay, God, I got it. This is it. This is me. And here I am, full on, let's invest, let's buy, let's sign the paperwork, let's get going, only to find a few months later that it fizzles out. It can't sustain itself. And I didn't have all the pieces I needed for that thing to really fully take off. Mm-hmm. Or it was just a glimpse of something. It wasn't supposed to be the main thing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that I necessarily had it incorrect. It was just wrong timing or wrong positioning. It wasn't what I was supposed to be focused on right then. Okay. And I think I've started and stopped more times than I can count. But I say that to say this: there's still valuable lessons that I learned along the way. And one of the most valuable things that I could learn was to trust God through the process. Before I start with him, and I don't finish until he tells me, okay, that's it, put the lid on it, we're done. And that has changed everything when it comes to purpose for me.
I love that. Celia, let me go to you, buddy, because I know a bit what your journey has looked like, but I'm curious to know your thoughts on this one.
Well, in some almost 40 years of being an entrepreneur, obviously, there's flexibility is key. You have to change and go with the flow. I remember opening my second gym, and there was just so much time I had to put into it. I kind of forgot that the reason, what's nice about the way we offer classes through rec departments and schools and things like that is that you don't have a physical location and the pressures of rent and all that goes into maintaining a physical location. And when I opened this location 5-6 years, however many years ago it was, 2 years into it, I just decided, this is not what I want. And in negotiations about rent with my landlord, I was like, I don't want to be held to somebody else. And even a landlord is being held to someone else. And I just decided I'm not going to renew this lease. And after I decided to close, I had a lot of disappointed customers, but we decided we were going to serve them in different ways. And we were going to offer what they loved at different places. That was not, this location that was just ours. And in that decision, about a month later, I found out that my mother had ALS. And it was like, yeah, I could cry about it now because it was like God saying, you need to devote your time to your mother. You do not need to be at this place, 10 hours a day. Yes, my children were older, but now someone else needed my time. And the beauty of being an entrepreneur is, like you say, having that time for your children.
Freedom.
I've always been home for school for them. I've always been there for them. And, a lot of businesses, they will tell people, well, if you miss a birthday party, it's okay because you're building this future for them. And I'm always like, well, if you miss a birthday party, your child is not 8 any other time of their life. You miss a birthday party, that is monumental for your child. It goes with that saying, they need your presence, not your presence. That's what they need. And, it was just like, when that happened, I was like, I made the right decision. I was in question about it all, but it freed me up totally to be with my mom for the last few years of her life, and it's, sometimes you have to make those tough decisions. But like I say, there is always a blessing in everything. And as hard as that shift might be, and now I had to rethink the process of how we were going to offer our programs. It was such a blessing. It was such a blessing.
It was really a setup for you. I think it was the way the Lord was really just setting you up to be in the position that you're in now, to be able to do what you do. So I love it. I love this conversation, y'all. I want to give both of you guys a chance just to tell people how to connect to you. Cecilia, go ahead. Tell us how to connect to you. If people want to learn more about what you do, how do they find more about what you do?
Well, reach out to me in so many social media outlets. I'm on Facebook. My Pumped Up Parenting is a free group on Facebook. If you go to pumpedupparenting.com, it offers a lot of my group coaching and my one-on-one coaching that you can be a part of. I'm launching a new group mastermind on June 1st. And if you want to know more about that right now, it's at great pre-launch prices. But it can really start getting your family on track to be the best it can be and really create that family harmony, because always remember, we're raising adults, not children. And my book is out there, Raising Happy Toddlers, How to Build Great Parenting Skills and Stop Yelling at Your Kids. And that's available along with my children's books at celiasbooks.com.
I love it. Love it, Celia. And anybody that's watching this live or on the replay, if you've got kids, you need Celia in your life. Celia is the absolute most amazing parenting coach I've ever met. She's my parenting coach. Celia has helped me through so much. I've got 4 kids ranging now. What are they now? 17, 15, 13, and 11. 10, I think. And so much of Celia's helped me with so many things in my parenting. So, and I think I'm a pretty good parent, and she still checks me and challenges me. So, Celia, I appreciate you. Tasha, tell us about how people can connect to you, buddy.
Well, of course, they can find me here on HAPS on all social media platforms, from Facebook, Instagram. But HAPS, I'm here broadcasting every morning at 6 a.m. because, well,
6
not just because
Central,
you challenge me. Yeah, and then you can find me on my website at more information at Puzzled to Purpose with the number 2 in the middle. So it's puzzledtopurpose.com. All my books are there, and just more information about what I do, what I speak about. And also you can DM me, message me anytime at Tasha Hart at Puzzled to Purpose. That's my email.
Love it. Y'all are awesome. I appreciate you. And everybody that joined us live and even on the replay, I know we all know an hour of your time is so valuable. So we so appreciate you guys spending time with us this morning. Have a spectacular Wednesday, all. Tasha and Celia and also Sherry. Thank you guys for giving us your time this morning and your thoughts on this topic. I love y'all. And we will see you guys later, guys. Take care. God bless, guys. And we will see you all around the web. See you guys later.
Thank you, Justin. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.